And it goes a little something like.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Ballrooms and Bachelors. I'm Matthew.
And I'm Camille. And we are ready to go with episode 2. Oh my goodness.
It seems so.
So before we get started, since we did do the live on YouTube last week, I just wanted to put a reminder for folks that if you're watching live on YouTube now, to make sure you're commenting in the live chat feature. You should be able to see, depending on where you're viewing, it's like either underneath the screen or on the side, it will say live chat, and then you can click and type in some things. So, you know, we'll both be in the chat commenting, so feel free to comment things along the way. So there's a few things I know we wanted to go over about what's been going on since we recorded the first episode, because it was, I think, about a month ago by now.
Yeah.
So Matthew, we're going to start with you. There's two things. We need to address the change in your hair color from that episode to this episode. So I'll let you start us off with that.
I'm actually surprised more people didn't comment on that. That was pretty funny. But so like we said, we mentioned our studio in the first episode, and our studio has fun themed parties like twice a month. I think that's a cool thing that Dan to me does. And so and they're usually themed, or they at least have been as of recently. And the one before I dyed my hair was a crazy hair party, and I thought, you know what, it'd be cool to dye my hair a different color, because like I said, I've had that colored hair for a longer period of time. When I was like in middle school, I had that like colored hair for like 2-3 months and thought I had always wanted to go back to doing that. So I thought it'd be cool, but I'm glad to have my regular hair now. And it was funny because I remember the night, obviously, that we recorded the episode, you had not seen it yet, and it was really funny to see your reaction. So it was definitely really funny.
Yeah, I had an event the night of that party and I wasn't there. So you know, he was like, "Oh, well, I have to show you something before we go on the episode."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my goodness, what did you do?" Because one of our other friends from the studio had dyed his hair blonde, and then I was like, "Wow, you just had to one up him with the blue like teal hair." So, yeah. And then any other updates from the past few weeks for you?
No, not really. I just have stuff like practicing for the competition in December for me. I know that's not the most recent one or the one coming up, but I'm just working on technique and just really trying to get the most out of my private lessons, because like December is going to be such a huge competition where we're doing so much that I would definitely want to be prepared for it. And it's definitely going to come back really quickly, because I still remember doing mini match in February, and that seemed just like yesterday, and that was at the beginning of the year. So yeah, just working on dance, getting ready for school in a few months, and just pretty much hanging out. That's kind of what I'm up to as of recently.
Yeah, I miss having summer break. I really miss. Yeah, so I went on vacation. If anybody follows me on my own social media, I went to Florida for almost 2 full weeks. So I am half Cuban, and a lot of my family still lives down there. So I was traveling from like Port St. Lucie to Miami to Tampa to visit everybody. It was a really fun trip. I think I needed a break. And but now that I'm back, it was 3 weeks from the time that I had gotten back, but it's actually a week. A week from today, the American Open Dance Sport competition in Jersey City is starting. So I will be competing on the Saturday of the event, and I am just trying to get ready for that, since I will be doing the Open Gold competition on Saturday. So I know you're going to come watch. So
I am, yes.
You know, we'll be there like throughout the different days of the competition, but that's mostly what I'm focusing on dance wise for right now. And then you still have some time till December. But
I do, yes. It definitely, like I said, will come up quickly, but I'm glad I at least have some time, because as you probably know, competing it does take a lot out of you, because you want to be as great or as good as you can be. Like before, I've talked to so many of our students and our instructors and stuff, and they really say that like you really put in the work while you're like practicing and doing your private lessons, and when you get to the competition, you just want to have fun, because like obviously you are focusing and really concentrating what you're doing, but you don't want to be like, oh my gosh, I'm stressing about this step or this routine or whatever, because you've put in so much work already. You just want to kind of just have no stress and just have fun at the competition. So it's definitely, I'm really excited for you. You're going to do awesome.
Thank you. I know I think that's the crazy thing. I think with ballroom versus with skating, it's so different. Like with skating, you're competing and you're training like a 3 or 4 minute program. Like when you're in senior ladies, like it's closer to that amount of time. You're training that program like all season, and then you just at the competitions, you just, whether you're doing the short program or the long program, it's like you have that time to do that routine and that's it. But with ballroom, you'll be competing, like, so in Latin it's cha-cha, samba, rumba, paso doble, and jive. So I think for Saturday I'm doing 8 rounds, so it's like 8 of all of those 5 dances, and then championships and scholarship rounds. So it's like, as kind of like a unit of either 3 or 4 or 5 dances, you're going to compete that as like a unit, not like individually throughout the day. But with ballroom, it's not like, oh, it's not like you're doing one cha-cha. I'm doing like probably 12 cha-chas throughout the day. So it's like you're doing it again and again and again and again. So there's a lot more stamina you need to just kind of get through the day. So it's a little different in that way, but I think it's just kind of also showing, like, can you show that you can have the technique and demonstrate it throughout the day. But I think it's kind of like in the lessons you go over the technique, and then the day of the competition, it's like just do the best you can. And then it's starting to, like, if you're trying to focus on a few key items throughout the day, it's like every time you do the cha-cha or every time you do that samba, you're going to be working on, like, on that step, I'm making sure I'm doing this thing. But mostly you just want to enjoy yourself. So I have competed in ballroom for about 3 years now, so I'm a little more used to it. But this is the first time I am doing open golds, and this is the first time I'm competing with my new instructor Yuri. So you know, it's a first in some ways, and it's the first time I'm doing the WDO comp with the American Open Dance Board. So there's going to be people outside of Dance With Me at the competition, so we will see. But Dance With Me has also done a good job. They kind of have done this for a while, but they'll bring in some of the judges for the events. They bring them in as coaches before and after the competition. You know, they've changed the format of like when they bring them in. Sometimes it's just at other random points throughout the year. So we actually, yesterday, we had Shirley Ballas from, I mean, she has a great dance history as well. So, but I think for people that watch Dancing with the Stars, you might recognize her as Mark Ballas's mom. So that is the easy way to recognize her. But just in pulling up some more information, you know, she was born in England, and she has also been the head judge on Strictly Come Dancing since 2017. And, you know, after Len Goodman, I think, had left the show, because I think he was on that. I mean, this is more like BBC stuff in England, so we're not watching that. But I know that everybody was really, really happy to have her there, just because she has a great,
so much,
you know, she was great, and she specializes in I can't talk today, international Latin. So that's what Matthew and I are both doing. So yes, that's a little background. So if you want to give what your thoughts were from the class yesterday.
It was a lot of fun. I definitely had definitely learned so much. It was really cool because, like you said, since I'm training and practicing in international Latin, and actually I've been competing in and will be competing in December, I'm hoping to add standard at the end of the year to compete in the next year. But Latin is what I've been doing most of the year, and so it was great to have somebody that's their expertise, so you can learn from them, and they have that knowledge to kind of be like, oh, I know I'm practicing that in my private lesson. It was actually really cool because Elena, who's my instructor, is her and I have been practicing a lot of the stuff that Shirley taught in the class. So actually Elena came up to us last night and was like, hey, you recognize that move? That's what we're working on. So it was kind of cool to do that, but it was awesome because seeing Shirley like practice moves that I'm doing in my routine or just practicing in general, it definitely kind of made me, oh, maybe I can be doing it this way, or maybe I can like execute this step this way. And so it definitely was so just beneficial to me, and I was just so happy about it. And as we talked about in the first episode, I've watched Dancing with the Stars ever since the 4th season. And like you said, the first for you, and I think Mark started the 4th or 5th season. So I've watched him ever since I've watched him ever since his first season. So I've obviously been a huge fan of him, and he's one of my like dance inspirations for sure. And so to have his mom there was just so awesome to learn from and to just like take ideas from. It was really, really cool. And it was awesome because as you know, because you were there, the turnout was really, really big. So it was cool to have everybody. And this is another thing, I actually talked to my parents about this today. It was really cool how our instructors took the class with us as well, because all of our instructors at our studio took the class with us, which was really cool. So it wasn't just like maybe we wouldn't feel as intimidated, I guess you could say, because all of us are still like, even if we're somewhat more advanced dancers, we still have so much to learn, and we learn almost so much every day. So it was nice to have the people that we are really close to that teach us like actually be like, oh, we're learning from them as well. So I thought that was cool to kind of feel like we were all doing the same thing, students and instructors learning from Shirley. So yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun, and it was awesome to have her at the studio for sure.
Yeah, and we even had some of our instructors' kids were taking the class, so
Yeah.
they're learning to dance too. So that was also really cute to see.
That was awesome. It was so fun.
Yeah, I like the group class that you did with us too, because we went over cha-cha and we went over different I think it was like, yeah, it was in cha-cha, we were going over different chasse steps and all of that, and just it was very basic enough because we all are at different levels, and I think that's really a good I mean, I also coach skating, so I think it's a good characteristic of anybody that's teaching something to be able to teach a group of people that are all at different levels, but teach them in a way that everyone that's like, if they're basic or they're advanced, they're still getting something from it. So I thought her class was great. I also had a coaching lesson with her earlier. So if you're not familiar with it, it's basically, so I will be dancing with my instructor, Yuri, and then you'll have this outside coach come in and they kind of watch you, critique you, go through some steps. They might change choreography, they might give you technical corrections, performance corrections. So we went over my samba and we went over some different steps and just like making sure I'm placing my arm in the right place, making sure I'm looking in the right place. You know, a big thing for me, and I don't need to get into a whole conversation with it today, because we have other more important things to talk about. Well, I don't want to say more important, but it's kind of like the main thing of this episode that we really need to talk about. Okay, so we can get into this another time about the dance stuff, but you know, I think it's like you have to dance with your partner, and with skating, I always skated by myself, so it's kind of just like I'm not used to having to like interact with somebody else while I'm dancing. So yeah, I think we talked a little bit about that, and I thought she was very good at understanding how sometimes that can be challenging for people. You know, it's like some of these kids, they've been ballroom dancing since they're little, so they're kind of just used to doing this and like learning this from a young age. But sometimes if we come to the sport and like, this art form, performance, dance later in life and dancing with a partner, it's like it's a little bit not it's not as like natural to people sometimes. So yeah, so I thought it was really good, and I was happy to do that. I know we have another coach coming to the studio next week, that she's focusing more on standard. So I definitely have a coaching with her, and there's a master class. I don't know if you're planning to join.
I am taking it, yes. I'm excited. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun because, like I said, I'm planning on going and adding standard and smooth into my repertoire of dance. So I'm excited to learn from her, and I think she's been in the studio before as well. So I'm excited to learn from her. I thought I've seen her, at least the sign that she's been there, but I could be wrong.
We could be wrong. Yeah, I think David said she hasn't been, but we'll see.
Okay.
But I think, yeah. And I know they're planning to get some coaches after the competition too. So we'll keep an update on that. And yeah,
start going on with dance for sure.
Yeah, I think so. All right. So that's all the dance stuff. We will have dance. We're definitely going to have more of a focus on next week because we'll be at the competition, and we'll get more into some things about what we're going to do there later. But I think the main thing that we want to cover is the Bachelorettes premiere from Monday night. So I'll let you kick it off with your general comments about the episode, and then we'll take it from there.
All right, here we go. Yeah, I thought the overall episode was really good. It was really interesting because I think probably, and I've heard this from a lot of other podcasts that I listen to and just like fans of The Bachelor that I know I follow and stuff like that. It was definitely a really good break to have like from Clayton's season, just because the show definitely can, I guess, drain you mentally. I guess it's definitely, it was for sure good to have a break, but I'm glad he was back. It was great to see Rachel and Gabby because obviously we love them and everything. So it was great to see them and on the first episode. And it was interesting because they had done a lot of like first on the season, on this premiere, not just like the history making thing of two bachelorettes and stuff like that, but they didn't have like video packages or intros for the guys, which I thought was pretty interesting. They kind of just introduced them like iPhone style and like didn't even show all of them. But I actually thought it was a positive. I don't know. I just thought it was cool, kind of. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I thought it was good. I mean, although I'll be honest, I felt like some of the guys seemed like they were trying a little too hard in their intro.
You know, I agree. Yes.
But that could have just been like the producers being like, just send us what you got, and you know, and then they edit. Of course, they take that part. But I mean, that aspect of it, I don't know how new that is, but I feel like I always am, and this is with the girls too. The first like week or two, I'm like, I don't know, these people seem a little crazy. And then you start warming up to them. So I was like, oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah, I just thought, because I think that obviously some of them are cute and sweet and whatever, but like a lot of the video entrances are like, hey, my name is this and this, and I'm from the, and it just like seems like so like rehearsed, or just it just doesn't seem natural to me. And I think that this somewhat can be really awkward. So I thought just them coming in without any of that was fine, or it made it better at least. I know we're going to get into the details of a lot of different specific topics of the episode as we go along, but it's I thought the season, the premiere was really, really cool. It was nice to have the show back. I thought it was interesting that again, there were a lot of new things, like I had said, with having the two leads at the beginning, and I know this is something that I don't really have a problem with, but I know a lot of people had said that they had wished that Tayshia and Caitlin were back as the hosts, and obviously we have Jesse back. And again, like I don't pay much like I would have been fun with either, because like I get what they're saying, like having two female hosts and two female leads. I think that would have been great, but like I don't think Jesse's there to be like the center of attention, so I don't think it's like the biggest.
I don't know if they're bringing Caitlin or Tayshia on at any point like later in the season to guide them. I think, and I mean I enjoyed when they were hosting the other two seasons, but I think, and somebody had made this point one time, that like Jesse was there with them when they went through stuff last season. So I think there's also like a personal connection too with him, with them. So that's why I'm also kind of just like, he's like their protector. So I'm kind of, I mean, it's nothing against Caitlin or Tayshia, but I think having Jesse there, I think for them is good, just because like he was there with them for Clayton's season and now he's there for them now. So that's kind of, I don't know, that's just been my stance on it for the most part.
I just know that like from like I said, the podcast I listened to, or people posting about it, I know people have pretty strong opinions about it. I was like, I can't believe that they didn't bring Caitlin and Tayshia back. They would have been great. And so that's why I felt like I had to bring it up. But I don't really have any opinion on it. It's like I'm fine with either. But it was also interesting, and I'm not sure if you picked up on this, and it was funny because, and it's good that we're recording this tonight because I watched the episode again tonight, right before we started recording, just because I was watching it with my family tonight. I watched it myself on Monday. So I usually watch it with my family, and so like that's who I usually watch it with, and so I wanted them to watch it with me. And so it was good to kind of like get refreshed and be like, oh, okay, now I know like everything maybe I missed the first night and stuff like that. I know I can talk about that now, but I'm not sure if you picked up on this, but it was really interesting. They were really kind of like pushing the narrative of like, you guys are in control. We're not going to try to manipulate anything. Cause like every time they were like, how is this going to work? And then Jesse was like, it's all up to you guys. You guys are in control. It's your season, your journey. I thought that was really interesting because I haven't seen like them push it that hard at the beginning of other lead seasons. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think one thing that I trying to remember. Oh yeah, so when they were on Kelly and Ryan and GMA the other day, I didn't watch it live, but I did go on YouTube and I watched like their interviews and stuff, and I think they did say something about kind of like they were able to just work with production to say what they wanted to do, and not to jump to the end of the episode, but I think it was really evident with, I mean, and just like spoiler alert, like I hope if you're watching this, you either don't care about watching or you watched already, so we're not spoiling anything for you. But if you, the rose ceremony, like I think it was really clear of like they just felt like, oh my gosh, I had no time to talk to these guys, and they kind of just were clear of like they knew Roby and the twins were not gonna fit, so they were like, they took them aside, they spoke to them, they sent them on their way nicely, and then they're like, the rest of them
comfortably,
keep them. So yeah, so I guess it brings our number from 32 down to 29 now, but I thought it was just like, you know what, it is up to them, and just from like seeing their clips in the interviews, like they seem very happy as friends. They seem like, you know, if it's hard, they're gonna support each other. They're not going to let it get between them. And I don't feel like they were faking their friendship on any of the interviews that they've done previously or like recently. So I think it stays that way throughout the season. I hope. I mean, I think it sounds like those previews though.
Gosh, I know we're gonna get to
previews,
that. They were a mess. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what's going on. But yeah, I'm just trying to look at my notes. What else did we have? Yeah, so okay.
Start from like maybe like
limo entrances.
Just start going it out. Yeah.
So
That's kind of
okay. I'll just say I don't think anybody had like a best limo entrance. That was
me
just
neither.
my thing. The worst one was basically everyone that mentioned Clayton.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I mean,
It was so over
yeah.
and I know other podcasts I've listened to since the episode's premiere has talked about
Yeah.
it. Yes, like, and I've heard like I think like there were people interviewing Gabby and Rachel like since the episode premiere. They were like, it's good if you like bring it up and say something like, hey, I know Clayton didn't treat you that well, or this didn't end well, but I'm here for you and I'm here to be. But like straight up like making fun and like just like not being nice to Clayton, like that just went kind of overboard for me. And I was just like, there's no need for that. And I think they were kind of tired of it at that point. They're like, let's move on at this point.
This goes back to the trying too hard thing. I mean, listen, those singers were talented. But I was like, oh, these kids. I mean, that was
really funny. But
if the lyrics were a little better, I would have liked it better. And that was actually Alex's entrance, so I thought that was interesting. But I did notice like some tweets that I think Katie Thurston was one of the folks that mentioned it, of just like, you know, how about protecting the mental health of the leads of the show? You know, I think Clayton and Susie have like done some reactions or whatever. I think somebody made a joke on Twitter. They were saying like they wanted Clayton and Susie to do a TikTok to the song that Alex
that's
like,
right
singers. So I don't know, to be determined. Keep an eye out. If that surfaces, we will be sharing it on the page or on the Instagram page. But I mean, I think, I don't know, I think, and just not to go back to last season, but I think like Clayton and Susie, like they kind of already went through the ringer. So not that I'm wishing bad on them or anything, like obviously this is hard for them to deal with too in a certain degree, but like good for them for being able to take it in stride, because that just is a testament to their relationship too. So that's just my thoughts on that. But
I'm just curious about like if that was like a production. I definitely think it was somewhat of a production thing, because like I highly doubt all the guys, there's probably these 10 12 of them that came up with like a Clayton thing at the beginning of their limo entrance. I highly doubt every single one was like, oh, okay, I'm going to talk about Clayton, because like they probably knew the production, the producers and everything, like, oh, we can kind of like bank on this and this will be something that they can talk about a lot. But I just thought it was so unnecessary and just kind of went overboard. That was just my take on it.
Yeah, I think, and I'm just looking at my notes of other memorable entrances.
You want to talk about Meatball?
That was just, I don't know, except they were kind of just like, oh, I'm kind of hungry right now when they saw that come in the door. I know, the Meatball enthusiast. I mean, we'll see. He's definitely, production's gonna play that one up. I thought Jordan H with the headphones, I thought that was interesting. Logan with the two chicks, that was funny. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. I thought who was it? Let me look over. I know Zach came out first. That was interesting because they didn't talk to him. So
I don't think he spoke to him.
They did. I think that was the one that he had said, "Oh, I'm panicking because I didn't speak to them." But usually the first person out of limo is the one that's they kind of like there's some recollection or there's some importance of them. And so I would just find that kind of interesting. I thought, who else? Do you have any others? I'm trying to think.
I have a few.
That's memorable to me.
So Jason said that there's 3 women I love.
And yes.
Like my mom, my sister, and my dog. I think that one.
I like Mario dancing. That was pretty funny.
Oh, I forgot about Mario dancing. But clearly they were happy with it. Like I don't think I wrote that one down. But I had what did I have? Oh, Quincy made the comment about being intentional.
Oh Jesus.
I just don't think it was the greatest time. So, and they kind of didn't really love it. So
yeah.
No shame on anybody, but I was just like, why are you saying this now?
Yeah.
Just a little, I don't know.
You just kind of wanted to be like, oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
I like how they were both like, you know who you're talking to with that whole thing. It was like so funny.
They did not love that.
I liked Tino's entrance was cool with the forklift. I thought that was fun.
Wait, who was that again?
Tino.
So okay, I like looked away from the TV for a second, and Rachel, I know, kept talking about his entrance, and I was so mad. I don't have DVR, so I mean I could go watch it on the app, but I was like, I'm not gonna go back to watch for like this 5-second entrance. But I'm like, I know he had some vehicle of some sort, so I didn't realize it was a forklift because it was also really dark on the screen. So yeah. But I know she was like enthralled with his entrance, so I was just like, yeah, we can get back to Tino in a bit.
I know I had when we saw him, I was like telling my family when we were watching it tonight. I thought when I watched it Monday too, I was like, she had stars in her eyes for sure. She like could not stop
Oh
smiling.
yeah.
And of course he had the like I work in construction, so I'm good with my hands pick up line, whatever. So
That was okay. Then it connected because I was just like, I don't know what I thought it was a car, and I was like, I don't know what happened. I think because my mom and I watched the show, and I think my dad might have been walking through the room or something with my dog, and I got distracted for a second. But trying to think who else. Somebody talked about the one that was barefoot. I don't even remember who it was, but they were like, oh, so we could be extra grounded. I was like, that's funny. The blue suit thing, Brandon, that came out with that blue suit thing. That was just random.
Like, yeah. Do you know the guy? I forgot his name. I didn't write it down, but the guy who brought the chairs.
Yes, Spencer.
Yeah, I thought that was cute.
Smart man. Smart man.
They definitely liked it, but I think they wanted more time with him because he just dropped the chairs and was like, all right, see ya. He didn't even like, you know, like, oh, that's it, okay. But yeah, I thought that was cool. Yeah, we talked about Alec, the choir. It was funny, but I don't know.
Roby the magician, it's the magician stuff is fine, but I feel like the production's gonna try to make it look cheesy. But I was just like, all right, you know, whatever, it is okay. There was no connection there, clearly, but I mean, he's a good magician, so.
Oh yeah, do you want to talk about again? I forgot his name, but the Mr. Fabio on the horse.
Yes, I was just looking. Yeah, the only other two people I had on my list was the one guy that I coincidentally forgot his name, but I think he messed up their names.
Yes.
But he seemed okay. Just like I don't know, he just messed up their name. But yeah, so Jacob was the I just wrote shirtless horse guy. I just because I was like I'm not gonna put Fabio, but it was funny. And I do have to say, because I feel like some guys have done an entrance like that to be so dramatic, like in the past.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I hope I'm not wrong about this, but he didn't seem like he was totally full of himself. I think he was just like, oh, he's gonna just do this, whatever. And it wasn't like, it was enough that it was like funny and like good and like eye-catching, but not over the top and like conceited or anything. I didn't get that vibe from him, so I was like, oh, okay, that's
I thought it was more genuine for sure. I had one more because like I don't know how much significance he has in the season, but I thought Ethan's juggling thing was pretty cool, and his joke saying that he obviously couldn't juggle two women, but he was going to be there for a good catch or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
They just like sped through them at some point, so that was like all that I wrote down. I even forgot that, but
you're right, because like the first maybe 5-10 they like showed the whole thing, but then the last and they didn't even show the whole 32. I think they only did like 28, 9, like that's what they actually showed the people. But like the last half of them, it was like their one pickup line, and that was it. And so like they didn't show them even and obviously it's for time, because if they showed it, they'd go over time. But some of them weren't as memorable, but those were the ones I guess were the ones that thought at least had some significance in them.
So yeah, that's all I had for the entrances. So I think we can go switch on to like the other talking points of just like the rest of the episode, like the whole cocktail party and everything.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, I think, all right, so we can finish after this, but like, so Roby the magician, they spoke to him, and then Gabby's face about the twins, she was like, I did say, I went back to my notes of the people that I listed on that piece of paper, and I like put it in our Google Doc with our notes. So I did say that the twins will be interesting. So clearly they were interesting. I mean, I don't know. They seem like nice guys. I think it was just like, Gabby was very clear in the beginning when her and Rachel were talking about, she's like, I need a guy that knows what he wants. And I'm like, that girl is going to be like laser eyes on every single person there. And I think in some ways she sniffed out like, they're not ready. And then whatever. Nothing against them. I think it's just like for where Gabby and Rachel are at in their life, you know, I think that's what
I thought it was so funny that like, and I don't know if this was like a thing that they knew they were going to do ahead of time, or they like did it on the fly and said, oh, this isn't working, and then they like switched it up. But like when they met with Roby and with the twins, they did it together. I thought that was really funny because it was obviously so awkward, and that's I wonder if that was something they were like, oh, every introduction, at least at the beginning of the night, is going to be with the both of you, and they did it, and then they had it on camera, and they're like, oh, this is not going to work. And then so they like obviously went separately, because when they did that, obviously it was way better. But I thought that was, you're right about Rachel, like they're definitely, I think both of them, they're both like, they know what they want, and like if they see it, they see that something that's not mixing well with them, they're like, nope, Yeah.
Yeah, and Ryan, so Ryan and Gabby were, I don't know, he had like the whiteboard or the paper, the easel thing, and he was talking about like saying things like in Boston versus whatever. And it was like
So funny.
Ryan and Gabby's like dynamic at first. I'm like, wait a second, like, are they getting along? Are they not? And then I was like, oh, okay, we're good. We're
But
good.
she liked it, it seemed.
She
I thought
did.
it
I
was-
think,
yeah.
yeah, that's just how she is, I think. So I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know this, but now
I thought it was really funny where obviously he was calling her Gabby and he was like, Gabby, shh. And when he was doing that, I thought I was like, a lot of people I watched it with, and people were like, oh my gosh, really? Like, they didn't known each other that long, but she was laughing and smiling. So at least, obviously she liked it. So, but yeah, that was funny.
and then Avon was with Rachel. And
Mhm.
Avon, yeah, they were getting along really well. And then, so like after I did these notes, I went back to that list and I was like, I had Avon for Rachel on there, and I was like, okay, all right. And I also had Jordan V. So Jordan V was the race car guy, and
Yes.
he said to her that he was here for her,
Oh,
and I also
yeah.
had him as for Rachel's. So I was just like, all right, I'm 2 for 2. I mean, if you want to say 3 for 3 because of the twins being interesting, but I mean, that was also short-lived. But and then Mario and Gabby kissed, Tino and Rachel kissed.
Yes.
I did also say Tina would be important, but I didn't know for who. So I was like, okay, I'm kind of on target with that. And then
I know this is very off topic, but I think it's kind of fun. I don't know. I saw somebody else say this, but does Tino's look give you Peter vibes? That's what he gave me.
yes, I said that to my mom.
Yes, I like
But
not the voice, but and not the personality, but face and like kind of like
Yeah.
bodily structure, I guess.
Yeah.
Definitely Peter. I was like, hands down.
His face is a little more like has more defined bone structure, I think, than Peter,
Yeah.
but there was definitely like a Peter vibe.
Yeah.
And I know that Rachel in one of the clips of the interviews, I think she was like, oh, like they were picking bachelors, like which, and she's like, oh, I have to say Peter because she's like, us pilots need to stick together. So I was just like, all right, well, I guess it's more of her type.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
But yeah,
I thought the Jordan V, she liked that one-on-one time. It seemed like that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like
who do you know I don't know if I wrote that down, but the guy who what is it? The guy who brought the birthday card. I don't know if I wrote that down. I don't think I did, but I thought that was really sweet.
I'll write that down. Yeah, I thought that was good too. I don't remember who it was. We'll find out because they'll recap it. But I think the next note I had was about how when Logan had the 2 chicks, and then there was one point where he was like, the bird just pooped in my hand. I literally just wrote in my notes, the bird just pooped in my hand. That's why I was like, oh, this is my next note. I was trying to find a segue before, but and speaking of lookalikes, Eric.
Yes.
Who do you think he looked like?
Nick.
Viall. Yeah. I was like, I mean, I felt like a combination of Clayton and Nick Viall. So I was just like, oh wow, he does look like him. And my friend texted me the same thing. And so I'm like, all right, it's not just me. But yeah,
Eric was interesting. That was a pretty interesting kind of thing that they did.
So, yeah, him and Gabby had kissed and they were fine. You know, I thought that was fine. I had picked him for Gabby on my list. So I was like, oh wow. But he did also talk to Rachel. And then at first I thought he was trying to kiss Rachel too. And I was like, okay, that's also fine. But like, maybe don't kiss both of the women in the same night. And I don't want to be like double standard with anything, but I don't know. I was just like, maybe just don't.
Yeah, I love how they I love how they edited that. I thought that was so funny because like one of the guys, when they were talking in the group or something like that, they were saying something like, oh, if I talked to both of them, it would be like a miracle or something like that. And then they cut to Eric like talking to Gabby after he had talked to Rachel. Yeah. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah, but I think he calmed down a bit. It wasn't like, oh my God, I had to kiss Rachel too. So like I thought he handled it okay, but he definitely seemed a bit bitter when Gabby gave the rose to Mario, and like him and Alex's reaction was a little bit like, I don't want to fully say red flag, but like maybe
do you think there might be any more to that? Like, because I've heard a lot of podcasts I listened to say that they might be like trying to set him up for a villain role because they like showed him being not happy or kind of like unusually unhappy about not getting the first, but like I don't know if that's a coincidence.
They could. I mean, it was the first night. So like I don't know. They don't fully know what to expect. But yeah, I wasn't too surprised. I thought it was going to go to Mario, and I thought Rachel's was going to go to Tino, which it did.
Yeah, there's no surprise.
And then and that was really it. I mean, because then we got the rose ceremony.
Yeah, the first ceremony. Yeah, I thought before going to that, I thought it was interesting that this was a cool thing. Again, kind of like with the differences of the whole having two leads. I thought that like the 2 or 3 times that they came together and were like kind of like the best friends, like showing them being best friends, and we're like, oh, who did you talk to? Who did you talk to? Oh, did you kiss that? Like,
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty cute moment. I like that too. I thought that was a cool thing because you don't really get that with
No.
other leads because they don't have any other person going through that with them. So I thought that was a
Yeah.
pretty cool thing that they got to show, and I thought that was a cool thing that they got to do in the episode. And from what we see in the previews, and then we'll get to that, they seem like they do that multiple times throughout the season. So I think that would be a cool thing to kind of see them bouncing ideas and talking to each other about their experiences. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so it's really interesting. I know I had just said that there's something on my notes that I want us to talk about. I don't know if I was laughing because it's so funny, but I don't know if you saw this, but I heard a lot of people talking about this. Jesse Palmer's ad read at the beginning of the episode. Did you hear it? No. Do you know how usually, obviously formerly Chris Harrison, and then now Jesse, where like they have the bumper up and they say, if you want to apply to The Bachelor or date the next Bachelor, Bachelorette, apply to ABC.com, whatever. The first one of at the beginning of this one was, did you remember it?
No, I Googled it.
Oh, you did?
You can say it.
Yeah, so what kind of like, sort of to make a long story short, Jesse had said, like he came on and just like full confidence was like, your boyfriend's a loser. Everybody knows it. Dump his ass. And it says, come on The Bachelor, find somebody better. And it was like, that was so funny to me. And I was like, wow, I mean, that's what they're going for now.
I didn't see that. Oh my gosh. When you said that, I was
Everybody was
like,
talking
what?
about it on social media and on the podcast I've listened to. They like, people thought that was like really funny and kind of just out of left field for the show. Because obviously, and like when I watched it live, I didn't watch it live, but I watched it like because I came home a little bit later after it aired. But I saw that bumper come up, like Bachelor apply, whatever. And I saw that come up and I was like, oh, it's just gonna be one of those. I just went on my phone for a sec, and then the first words I heard of Jesse's voice is, your boyfriend's a loser. And I'm like, wait a minute, did I hear that right? So that was really funny.
I'm gonna go find this now. I was like, wait, what? Oh my gosh.
So that was really funny. And I was wondering, like, because I've heard other people talk about it, I'm like, oh, is that going to be like a theme? Like he's going to do something unconventional,
Who knows?
casting ads during the season? Yeah. I just wanted to make sure we talked about that because that was.
Oh really yeah. Cool. I only have one more thing. Okay, so
yeah, what is that?
And I just, unless you have anything else, because I'll finish it up with mine.
No, I think that's all I got.
Okay, so in the end clip, and you always, if you're new to watching the show, you always have to stay for after the credits. There's always an end clip at the very end because they'll have a commercial and then it's just this little thing. Blanco, the horse, had diarrhea at the end and Jesse had to go scoop it up. So poor Blanco. Yeah, so that, and on that note, I think that's the end of the premiere review. I think
do you want to talk about the promo or the previews at the end?
Yeah, I think it's just like, oh dear goodness. Yeah, oh dear. I hope it goes okay. But of course they're gonna put that drama in there because they gotta like keep you hooked. But I don't know, front runners, I just feel like generally speaking, like I don't want to say for sure that Eric's a front runner, but I feel like Mario, because anybody with the first impression rose for sure. Yeah. Mario, Tino, and also Jordan V for Rachel, and then I don't know. I didn't really like, those were the main, and I guess Avon for Rachel also. And then I guess Ryan for Gabby, just because I felt like they had the most connection, but it was also the main people that they spoke to. So I don't know. That's what I'm just saying for right now. I think
the exact same list.
Yeah.
I put Eric on there. The only reason I put him is because like if they're gonna like try to like edit him into the first episode, I feel like he's gonna have some significance. I don't know if it's gonna be one of those like whatever Luke P situations or whatever where like the leads like him and then they're like, oh, I had no idea he acted this way around the house, whatever. So I feel like it could be one of those situations where, like I said, I have Mario, Ryan, Zach, Avon for Gabby, and then obviously Tino, Jordan V, Tino, stuff like that for Rachel. So pretty much the same. I think they kind of made it pretty obvious that they could obviously veer at the I actually did put another note. I forgot to talk about this actually. I think it's actually pretty important, so I'm glad I came back to it. But I'm interested, and I think this would be a cool topic of conversation. I was wondering if you have any thoughts, and I can give my opinion on it as well, about like, how do you think the format of the season, and we talked about this with like they kind of can like dictate maybe what they want and stuff like that. How do you think maybe that will change from seasons past, maybe just like the rose ceremonies? And we saw that in some of the previews where they actually can reject a rose, or they might say, I'm gonna be here for this person or something like that. Maybe how will hometowns or fantasy seats work like at some point during the season? I would assume it kind of like makes sense that they'll be like, at this point you have to go for one of these people, because like I also wrote down, will this guys switch last minute? Will they do anything to prevent them from switching last minute? I don't know if they do that. It's like I have wondering what your opinion was about like maybe those kind of things, like the formats of the show, how those might change and maybe expect.
I mean, I think like once you get to the, obviously I think once they get to hometowns, it's going to be very individualized journeys. Like, and I think probably the week or two before, I mean, I don't know, are they gonna have are each of them gonna have 4 hometowns? I don't know, like that I don't know. I mean, I think that's at that point they're gonna have like this set of hometowns and this set of hometowns, and then, but I think probably like a week or two before hometowns, I think they're gonna kind of make them get serious of like, maybe initially they're gonna just kind of keep, they're gonna have the roses kind of just like joint roses.
Yeah.
Of like, will you accept this rose? But I think we'll start to see more with the rose ceremony of a certain point of like, if you're accepting a rose from Rachel, you were there for Rachel. If you were accepting a rose from Gabby, you were there for Gabby.
Yeah, it's almost like a bachelor pad kind of format or something like that.
Yeah, so we'll see what I think at the certain point they're gonna kind of just like give them the ultimatum of like, all right, you have to pick now. And I think that's where they took a lot of those clips to like put them there. But
because I wonder if it's going to be like something. Yeah.
Seems like people have some second thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that too. I just wonder, because like I wonder if it's going to be something where with the rose ceremony, like you were saying, like obviously they'll probably give them the ultimatum and say stuff like, well, if you're going for this person, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's going to be a thing where, like, remember how it's still so funny for me to say, but Rachel said, "Meatball, will you accept this?" This is really funny to me that that's actually what they call him. But how he said that, and he said, "Sorry, I'm here for Gabby." I wonder if that's a thing where, like, say he rejects it, does he get the chance to? Does Gabby give the chance to give it to give a rose to him, or does he just leave? Or like, I wonder how that works.
I think the point is like, if they were gonna have all for like, if Rachel was gonna go through all her roses, and then Gabby's gonna go through all his all her roses. I think the point might be like, okay, well, he rejected Rachel, so he's not going to get from Rachel. So now Rachel has an extra rose to give out, but like he might not get one from Gabby. So he's just also like taking that risk of like, all right, well, you know, it's like I only want to get the rose from the person I want it. But I think there's going to be certain times where it's like, well, they get the rose from one of them and they're like willing to stay. And they don't know. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. I think that's, I mean, they showed us more clips of that, so I'm like, all right, they gave us like a little hint, but I think, and if I were in their shoes, I would feel like at a certain point, like after the first few weeks, I would kind of be like, okay, you kind of have to pick who you're here for.
Yeah, definitely.
Like,
just because you never know, some things can happen where again feelings can change and stuff like that, so I definitely can see that happening.
We'll see. I just hope it ends up positive for them.
Me too. I really hope so. And I know this is a side note, but it's cool that, and obviously it's probably because more or less restrictions in the world and stuff like that now, but it definitely seems like a lot more traveling that they're going to be doing during the season, because it seemed like they were in Europe and like a few like exotic beach locations and stuff like that. So that would be cool to kind of, that's always an aspect of the show I've loved, to watch them go do different things in different countries and states and stuff like that. So that'll be fun to watch them do that throughout the season as well.
Vicariously through them. So
definitely.
Yeah, I think also, and like I know you and I discussed this a little earlier when we were prepping to start recording, but it's like, I think in general, the episode, like sometimes the first episode, there's so much drama and there's so much like craziness. Like I think it was entertaining. It wasn't boring. There was enough stuff that was funny that it was like, I mean, some of the part, with the stuff with Clayton was like a bit over the top, but it wasn't like anything of like, this is horrible television, this is like trash TV or whatever. It was just like, I felt like the episode flowed. It was like entertaining enough, but not like super dramatic and like produced looking. Fully. So I was like, all right, this is what we can have reality television that doesn't need to be so manipulated. So and I've heard that point or like made a few times. So I don't know. We'll see.
So,
But
so many first episodes have been pretty like producer influence, and like we just said before we came on here that like they always seem to have like that one drunk person that they like always like seem to zero in on or whatever, the person that like tries to like rile up everybody and stuff like that. So it seemed like it was way tamer than like a lot of premieres of this franchise. So I thought that was a positive. So I was happy about that. Yeah, overall I thought it was pretty good, and I'm excited to see how the season goes on. Obviously, I love. No, I don't love because it's sad, but it's just I find it interesting that that obviously, like you said, they're going to show the drama, and it seems like they always edit they have the editing format for the promos at the end of each episode the same. It's like first minute exciting things and like voice like kind of audio clips in those happy things of like, oh, I can't believe I'm falling in love with this guy. This is so awesome. I've never felt this way before, stuff like that. And then last minute and a half, 2 minutes is them crying, saying, oh, there's this revelation I have to tell the person, whatever. And then like, of course, we see Rachel and Gabby crying again. And it's obviously it's sad, but it's just, they kind of edit it the same exact way. So you know they're going to put that in.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Oh, all right.
Oh, I know.
You want to finish us up?
Yes, I definitely can. This is still new for me, as I definitely had said. So, yeah, so I really am happy you guys joined us. This is still new for us, but we're having a lot of fun. As we had said before the first episode, we had been working on it for like a month before we recorded the first one. And then we were working on editing and everything like that, and like doing stuff on the socials and stuff for a month before we actually posted it last week. So this is just something we wanted to do for a long time, and I feel like this is going to be an amazing opportunity for us, and I feel like we're going to become closer friends because of this, because we'll have more time to actually talk about things and then just have this platform to interact with you guys, and I'm sure we'll probably make more friends and just more connections with you, and so that's awesome, and we're so excited about it. If you want to subscribe to us, you can subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, which is what you will be on. If you want to follow us on Instagram, we should actually put the link in the description of one of the videos, but we can. But if you want to follow us, it's at Ballrooms and Bachelors, same thing as the YouTube name. And if you want, do you want us to give our social medias again, or do you think?
I think it's best if you go follow us on Ballrooms and Bachelors, and you look in the bio, both of our Instagrams, like our personal Instagrams, are linked. And also, don't forget to like the video.
Yes. Do not.
If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to
yes, that would definitely. It means a lot.
Yes. And I know, like I mentioned, that next week we're going to be at the dance competition. So we're going to see how the schedule pans out. We are going to try to record in person because we will be there on Wednesday, which is either Tuesday or Wednesdays typically when we record. So we're going to try to record in person. We may have an appearance by a special guest. We have to figure out schedules and logistics and timing and everything. But yeah, but in the meantime, I guess just follow us on Instagram. Keep an eye on that Instagram page and our individual Instagrams, and we'll post some different things from the competition if you're interested to check that out. And yeah, so just and you can always message us, DM us, and I'm trying to just make sure that we do some story posts that are more interactive so you guys can share your thoughts too.
Yeah, definitely. We're always here for your suggestions and comments and questions and everything. So if you want to send us anything, for sure, comment on this video or any video. I know we only have 2 videos, but any comments on our YouTube channel or on our Instagram or any post that we post, yeah, we definitely love to interact with you guys. So that would be for sure much appreciated.
All right. Yeah, and comments on this video too. So all right, everybody.
Yes.
Until next time.
We will see you later.
See you later.
Bye.